Hello, welcome to episode 11 of the No Excuses podcast. My name's Anne and I live in Worcestershire in England. How are you? I think it's been about just over a week since I last recorded. I thought I'd pop on here and have another chat to you about what I've been doing. Before we start, I'd just like to mention that obviously we've heard about the sad news about Andrew of Fruity Knitting, who passed away a few days ago. And I just want to extend my condolences to the family, Andrea and Madeline, and their family way back in Australia as well. At this sad time, it seems to have been a fairly short illness. He was diagnosed with a brain tumour sometime last year, and it's a shame because he'd not long given up his full-time job to work with Andrea on the podcast. So yeah, I just wanted to mention Andrew right at the start. So, you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry at spaknits, spaknits, and my email address is spaknitsandcrafts@gmail.com. And I will put the links to those places and everywhere else, everything else I talk about down below. I think I need to slow down. We haven't got any finishes today, again, but I have got progress on my cross stitch and my knitting, which I'm going to show you in a moment. Looking around me to see where I've left everything. We'll deal with the knitting first. Oh no, sorry, and again. What am I wearing? Today I am wearing a short-sleeved... Oh, I'm getting, like you're supposed to improve with time as you podcast. I'm declining over time. Oh, it feels like it. I am wearing a long-sleeved round neck jumper. That is Sirdar 7034, and it's still available on Lovecrafts. It's originally for Country Style DK, and which is like an acrylic mix. I think it's got a little bit of wool in it from what I remember. But I've knitted this jumper in 2015. I finished it, and it's in Drops Lima, which is a 65% wool and a 35% alpaca mix, and it's lovely. This is in the rust colour from Drops, and my pet hate is pilling. You don't get a lot of pilling on this, and I'm really happy with that. Just show you the front. I will put photographs of the pattern and of the front, but you can see it's got like a cable and eyelet detail all the way up the front, and it's framed by this twisted little cable either side of it. Now I've seen this pattern, something very, very similar, somewhere else as well. I don't know whether that's a Sirdar thing as pattern, but I'll see if I can find both the sources to it, if you're interested. It was a fairly okay knit. It got a bit complicated in the middle. I seem to remember it wasn't that intuitive, but normally, I like to be able to knit things once I've learnt the pattern after a few rows. I like to be able to whiz along with it. But I couldn't quite do that with this, but I'm more than happy with it. If I had one criticism, it would be that it's a little bit too short, and I wished it was a little bit longer and came over my bum a bit more when I'm sat down, which of course is all the time. It's bagged a bit on the sleeves. It's slightly felted, but it does give you a very cosy and soft feel to it. So yeah, I'd recommend the yarn. I mean, for the money as well that Drops do. Sometimes they can have a little bit of a limited colour palette, but in the main, I think they represent quite good value for money. So that's what I'm wearing. Now let's talk about, as I say, I've got no finishes, but let's talk about the green thing, the elephant in the room. Elephants aren't green, are they? They're grey. But this is progress. This is the front of the vest, tank top, jerkin, whatever you want to call it. And as you can see, I've done it in that 2-row lace rib that I'd started on the cardigan at one point, and I think I might have shown you on another podcast. So I'm a few rows off getting to the armhole. You can't really tell what the you can't really tell how long it is when I'm showing it on the screen. But again, you know, I don't like things too short. I was going to do this a little bit boxy, but I've erred on the side of caution and done it a little bit longer because I've got the yarn. So yeah, this is progressing nice and slowly, but I should finish the fronts this week, and then I'm not going to say, but I hope that I can wear it next time, because I'd like to do that, because I'm sure you're all thinking, well, will that swamp monster ever go away? You might get one or maximum 2 more viewings of it. But again, it's Swamp Monster, which is a BFL DK from Libby at Needle and Thread, and it's absolutely gorgeous yarn, and I've had a lot of positive feedback about this yarn, and I'm hoping Libby gets that too. So that's the progress on my tank top. My friends told me I've got to call it. It's a tank top. She's the same age as me, remember that. I'm not going to say hello Elaine, because I don't think she watches me. And if she's shaking her head at me now, then I'm sorry. I've just dropped the ball of wool that's attached to this, so I better make sure I don't run over it when I back up at the end of the podcast. Second is the Ranunculus. Well, I am past the... Yeah, that's the neckband. I'm past the neckband. There you can go. You can see the yoke showing up reasonably well. And this is, I said it was a dark nettle colourway last time. It is the light nettle colourway from Nellie and Eve in her BFL Gotland mix, which is lovely. It dries my hands a bit when I knit with it. Not horribly or anything, but I notice that I need a little bit more hand cream when handling it. And that may be in connection with the nettle that she's dyed it with, or one of the other things associated with natural dyeing, or the yarn. But I mean, the yarn is gorgeously soft. It's going to be so easy to wear. I keep going wrong with it. And basically it's because I'm a bit stupid sometimes. Now, the lesson to be learned from my... Well, I'll tell you about it in a minute. I don't mind admitting everything to you. Is I think I know better than the pattern sometimes. I'm sure, you know, we may have all been there. And I thought, well, surely it would show up. I've only just downloaded it. It's going to be a new version of it, you know, if there were any areas. There's 7,000 been made. But all that sort of passed me by, even though I sort of thought that for a split second, and then I thought, nah. But what you do, without giving anything away about the pattern, is you've got a centre back marking, right, so you know when you've completed your round. So I started the raglan increases. You're not going to say, don't you? And I started increasing, because you increase at the markers. And it is a different colour. It's a colour I generally use, yellow, to mark the end of a round on most of my stuff. And I realised I did a stitch count after about 4 or 5 raglan increases. And I realised that my stitch count was out on one of the bits on the back. And then I instantly knew why. And it's because I'd been putting increases in either side of the marker that was the back of the neck. You know those teddy bears, the traditional teddy bears that have like a hump right behind their neck? See if I can find. I've got one up there actually. I've got a few traditional teddy bears. See if I can take a photograph to demonstrate what I mean. But that's what I was doing to myself. Now I admit I'm round shouldered, you know, not exactly a hump. I'm looking at myself again in the mirror. And I thought, you idiot! You know, the pattern is written. It's tried, it's tested by so many people, and you just ignore it. I think I was just I knit on it in the evening. I'm making excuses now, and I'm not supposed to make excuses, which is why it's called the No Excuses podcast. I was just knitting, and I think I just got carried away, really. I sort of thought, oh, they missed that out, and that was it. You know, it went through my mind, and afterwards I thought, you idiot, you silly twit. So I had to undo it, and I undid it manually. So I undid every stitch. And that took me a couple of hours in the daytime to do, and that put me back 2 nights of knitting. So note to self, unless it's a brand new pattern that you're testing, follow the pattern. Anyway, I'm enjoying it. I don't know yet when I'm going to do long sleeve or short sleeve. I think I'm going to see how much yarn I've got, actually, because I find with my chummy arms that if they're the wrong length, they tend to collect in my elbow, and then I can't reach them too. That's a weird phrase, isn't it? I can't pull them up. I can't always reach to pull them down. So I'm going to see, because I'd rather they were short, not short, but shorter, so they miss my elbow, or longer, so they're sort of, you know, 3/4 maybe. And let's see what happens a little bit further down the line. So that's the knitting, and I've only been talking for 11 minutes, and it's mainly a knitting podcast. I am failing, but I can talk. I have the ability to talk about anything. Let's look at my cross stitch. I thought I'd show you what I keep my cross stitch in, if I haven't before, because I'm already forgetting what I've showed you and what I haven't. These are one of these cheap, they are, woven style nylon zip bags from Amazon. Try not to buy too much from Amazon, but sometimes it's the only place, not necessarily the cheapest, but it's the only place I can find them. And of course I always want them now. And I've done quite a bit on my cross stitch. And you can see now that this is the centre of the Celtic cross. You can see the the circle coming into play. I can't tell you which bits I've done. I know I've done this one this week. We've had glorious weather for the last 3 days. Not today. It's dull today. It's still warmish. But so I've been sat outside, and I've been able to see much better in the sunlight than I can indoors to do this. So I'm cracking on with it. I've had a little bit of stiffness of neck, but what I'm finding is that goes away after a bit. If I do a few exercises when I've finished stitching, then I can get over that, and it's not too bad. So yeah, I've been enjoying that. But because I'm struggling to excuse me while I shove this back to make a little bit more room for myself. But because I'm struggling a little bit to see the holes, do the zip up, just put it down. To see the holes, I've ordered some stronger readers. I've got the 3s at the moment, so I've ordered the 4s, but I've got to make sure that I don't wear them for too long, because they'll make you a bit dizzy otherwise. So yes, I was trying to sew yesterday, even with the my craft lab that I've got in here, and I was still finding it a bit difficult. And I mean, this is 14 count Ada. You don't get much bigger than that unless you go onto the child sizes. And I want to be able to do a little bit more cross stitch. You know, I've got a lot more cross stitch. It progresses far slower than I thought it would. It's not a problem, except I've got quite a few kits in the drawer. Well, about 5 or 6, and I'd like to get onto them. So that's all my progress. Yeah, that's all I've done in a week. I've been doing a bit of tidying up and trying to make space to do some sewing, because I am surrounded by clutter, which is of my own making. I'm very good at making clutter. But I thought I'd show you, keeping into the, before we move off, what I've made and things in the past. This is my mitred square blanket that I had on the back of the door last week. I'm not going to get it all out. I don't know if I've got some pictures of it being full. But basically, it is your standard, let me see if I can find, I'm trying to, where you can see the pattern. This is a standard mitred square blanket. There are many free patterns for it on Ravelry. and I loved doing this. I don't think there's a break in the middle of doing it, but it started my obsession with buying minis, and I've also added end of balls, you know, rather than sort of just wondering what to do with them. Now, I did mine. I wanted quite small needles. In fact, she stopped podcasting now, stopped talking about knitting now, and that was what was her name, Lily of Nordic Stitches. And at one point she was doing a mitred square, and then another, and then a teeny tiny one as well, and I love that idea. But of course the work involved is the smaller you get, the longer it will take you overall, I think. So I did mine with a 33 stitch square on 3mm DPNs. And let me just pick that up again. You might see that, I need a good example to show you. Maybe there, here, look. You can see where the contrast is coming through, because where I joined it, I did it on the reverse because I wanted that pattern to appear on the front. And you can see the brown from there coming through on the edge here. And then I did a slip stitch in the middle, and then I did the decreases on the reverse side. And I did that so that although the joins are neater on the reverse side, you don't get the little colours coming through, you have still got it so it looks fairly neat. And I class that personally as reversible. Now, a lot of people would like to see the joining on the back and have a proper right and wrong side, but I made a conscious decision to do it that way so that you can't really tell unless you look at it a bit more closely. I've got a mixture of yarns in there, mainly merino nylon sock, but there are some 100% wool and some cashmere, anything. And I think there's even a bit of almost double knitting in there. And that's the beauty, you see, because if you've got something slightly thicker, you just, it works. It just works. And I'd recommend it. If you like something that's fairly meditative, I'd recommend knitting one. Now, I've gone for the pattern where all my centres are going in the same direction. So you can see they're all going that from whereas Ellie has got like Ellie of Craft House Magic has gone into a big zigzag, I think. And they all look well. I mean, you can do some quite intricate patterns if you sit and think about how to attach the next square depending on where you want the centre line of decreases to go. But I decided that my brain didn't need that much of a workout, that I was just going to have it going all the same way. In terms of colour selection, I've just made sure in the main that the colours aren't too similar sat next to each other. But the trouble is, the minute you start unrandomising, if you know what I mean, and start being too careful, then you end up with it not looking as random as it could. I'm going to pick it up again. I mean, I've got 3 pinky tones there in the line, but then there I've got a green, a purple, and that's oranges and yellows, and then a brown, So I love it, and I'm thinking, because I keep acquiring minis, don't talk about acquisitions, because I keep acquiring minis and end of skeins on projects and things, I'm thinking of doing another one, but I don't know what to do with it. I will say that is a 17 by 18 rectangle, but only just a rectangle. And I finished it off with an I-cord edging that you can see. I just had a whole skein of yarn that it was one of the mystery clubs that I'd had from Rusty Ferret, actually, and I thought it's not really something I would put into a shawl or anything. It was quite strong colours of like a green and a grey, and I thought it'd be ideal around the blanket because it will pick up some of the colours that are in the blanket. And also it's only a 3-stitch I-cord, but it took quite a long time, as I called to do, but I always think they're well worth the effort. So yeah, I'm thinking of making another one. But again, it would be fairly random because the minis that I've got are all fairly random. You know, I like pastel things. I love a pastel blanket. But then I don't know whether I want to buy that many pastel minis. You know what I mean? It's like... Anyway, so that's my mitred square blanket, and I love it. And it's mine. It's my lap blanket. Tom and Bertie share a very washable blanket from Dunelm, which is like a teddy fleece on the one side and it's a knitted fabric on the other. Literally got cables on it, type of thing. And we put that in the machine regularly and it dries. So I don't really want Bertie with his claws having a wool blanket, because they just need washing far too often when you've got a smelly dog on them, don't they? So yeah, so that's my mitred square blanket. It's looking a bit worse for wear in a way, considering I haven't used it that much. Probably me. Yes, I'll need to look at my list. There'll be a short interlude. Actually, I'm going to stop the thing because it says 21 minutes and I'm going to start it again, okay? So, toodle pip, I'll be back in a sec. You won't even notice. Hello, we're back again. Now, according to my list, I'm going to show you some fabric. One of the reasons I wanted a podcast was to motivate me to do different things, because I think I've probably said it before that knitting for me and even crochet is so easy to do that I just pick it up and do it, and I don't ever touch any of the other crafts that I want to get involved with. And although lockdown afforded me a little bit more time than I usually have, it didn't have such an impact on my life that it did on other people. I didn't end up with, you know, I spend quite a few days at home every week anyway. That's what I mean. I tend to go out alternate days and not every alternate day because I get tired. So I didn't have all the extra time that a lot of people found themselves having with lockdown. Although I did order a couple of kits and things. So I haven't made myself do what I should have done, really, and got on with, and I still can do. So what I'm going to show you, I'm not making any sense. What I'm saying basically is I need to make an asserted effort to get on and do the things I'm interested in doing and stop making excuses. I've got the sewing machine now. I made this little bag just as an experiment. It's lined with random bits of thread because it's had fabric inside it. So I don't know if this is a Lewis and Irene, but it's very, very nice. It's gorgeous colours. I saw it in the shop in Evesham Country Park, Valley Park it's called now, where it's the same brand that's on the telly, like Creative Hands or anyway, I'll see if I can find a link to it. Not that anybody lives that local, some of you do. And I again failed to do a box bottom. Look, it looks like ears. And this has got no, it's got lining, but it's got no wadding. I've got no excuse. And I'm useless at box bottoms. That one's straight, but the other one isn't. Anyway, I just use this to put things in randomly to carry around with me. I would have loved something like that as a kid. So in there, I've been storing the fabric for my next little project, and I meant to do this on Monday and Tuesday of this week, but I did cross stitch and I sat outside instead, and I'm not going to take the sewing machine outside. So what we've got here is I've got some fabrics. I've got a green one. I'm not sure I'm going to use that this time. And I've got some pale pink that's quite nice as a, nah, not going to show up, as a lining. And then I've got this ivory, which is, it's got hoosies on it, and it coordinates with the green, but I want to use that as my outer and this as my inner. And it's got, there we go, little plants, flowers on it. I can come a bit closer because look at me squinting. Come a bit closer because that's a darker colour, but if I put that too close to you, well, it's not too bad. You can see it's a bit samplerish, isn't it, with the houses and things, like cross-stitch samplerish. And the thing I'm going to make is a boxed zipped pouch that's fairly firm, the square one. You've got a zip at the top, and it's sort of square. You know, as opposed to being longer and sit. Anyway, I'll show you when I've made it. And I've even got I'm sorry about the wheelchair squeaking. For some reason, the arm on my chair, and all it is, it's a piece of metal, and the bar drops into it, and then you've got a nut that fastens it. Tom keeps fastening it up, but it's getting very, very squeaky, and you can't really oil it because it's next to your clothes, and it's annoying me, so it's probably annoying you. But I've got a zip as well, ready to go, that goes very, very nicely with the fabric. Thanks to Mom. Thank you, Mom. So, yes, and I've got some, is it called Bosa? Which is quite a firm wadding that I'm going to use with it. So it's like it's the sort of thing that makes it stand up. I'm trying to think what you call that. It's like it's like a boxed pouch, square at the ends, as opposed to being flat at the sides, if you know what I mean. I'll show you. My power of description has obviously disappeared. So, by showing you that, my aim is to have it done by the next podcast, because it's one reason, as I say, I wanted to do the podcast, is to motivate myself to do different things, because I'm answerable to you now, you know. You lot will say, oh, where's that pouch, Anne? You said. I'll go, oh no. I might say, I decided not to make it, but no, I want to do it. I've been thinking about it and I watched Debbie Shaw, she made one the other day, her Saturday morning thing that she does, and I thought, that looks so easy. I'm going to have a go at it. Oh, there's a heron. Heron just took off. I like seeing herons. And there's also, if I keep looking down the garden, there's a man hanging off a telegraph pole at the bottom of our garden. It's in the road that's like 2 gardens down. It looks quite comfortable. Ordering, acquisitions. What have I been buying? I've been a bit naughty. When I say naughty, I mean, a naughty infers that somebody's judging you, doesn't it, really? That you're being judged for your behaviour. And but I'm just using it for fun. You know, nobody's judging me, apart from myself. And I don't really do guilt that well. So, I don't know. Anyway, I won't tell you what I've ordered, but I've ordered some yarn. My yarn diet's going very well, yes. And I've ordered some stencils for my stationery, because I really, really, really want to do bullet journaling, but only related to my crafting, I think. And yeah, so I'll show you those. They should appear by the next time that we chat. And the other plan I've got for sewing is to make the gelato top, because I've read on Instagram that there was a sew along coming up, and I've got some cheap fabric to make and this is the gelato. It's the one where those are bust darts, my terrible drawing. It's got fluted sleeves and a tier at the bottom. So it's a pattern by Lee Salt & Co, and they've got 25% off their patterns, by the way, at the moment. And I don't know what I haven't put on here. Oh, it goes up to size 30 on the top end. I don't know what it goes down to on the smaller end. But yeah, I want to have a go at making that, because I think it will. It's a bit shorter than the indigo, which is very similar. And I want to have a go at making that. I'm just going to bite the bullet on it. I've got to stop making excuses not to make my own clothes, because something like that should be relatively easy. And I've got my mum to help me, haven't I, Mum? Okay, so that's my plans. And then finally, before I tell you what I did this week, creak, I'm going to show you something my mum's made. Now, I will put some photographs of these up. These are her Easter mice. Now, Cass from the Wee So bought some of Mum's Christmas mice when she had them for sale. They're not coming up very well, but she got a little yellow dress. Here's the camera. And then you've got this one has got a little basket. It's got a little gingham lining. And she's got a little dress, and she's got a little fastening at the back. I will put photographs in. And then you've got this one, which has got the puffy sleeves, tiny print again. Now, my mum made these baskets out of little bits of raffia and things, and each of they've got little underskirt on us as well, which you can just about see. It's white on white there, so it's a bit difficult to see. But I just thought I'd show you that my mother's work is exquisite. And she, for the last, I think, we've shut the shop now, but for the last 4 Christmases, I think, we've sold her mice on Etsy. And that's what Kaz bought, a couple of Mum's mice. And then she thought, oh, sorry, that one's supposed to be a bunny rabbit. Look, it's got a tail. But you couldn't really get the ears right with the model. Oh, I'll take photographs. Yeah, so she did 4 different designs of mice: choir boy, Santa, elf, and fairy. She sold really well, and she was really pleased. Now, she'd been selling these things for charity for a long time, school fairs and things, because she lives opposite a primary school, as I've said before, or I might have said before, and she and Mum likes making them. And then a couple of Easters ago, she decided to do these for Easter, and she did sell a couple, but they weren't as popular as the Christmas ones, so she's put it all away now, and I don't think we'll be doing it again. We've shut the shop, and every Christmas she thinks, oh, I'll make some Christmas ones, but she just enjoys making them. You know what it's like, if you're doing something that you enjoy, it's not such a chore, is it? And she wasn't doing it for money, really. She was just doing it for the fun of it, to see if she could. Now, her mice used to be quite a bit bigger, and now they're 3.5 inches tall, so they're getting very, very small. It would help if they weren't white, and you'd be able to see them a bit better. So I'll take some photos. So yeah, so when I can't finish something myself, I'll show you something that my mother's made. So vicarious making. Okay. Let's talk about what I've been doing. I went shopping last week. I told you that I was going to go take some things back. Well, one thing back to Marks and Spencer's. And we went to the Maryhill Shopping Centre. And it was only 2 days, a third day of the shops being open, the non-essential shops being open in the UK. And I said to my friend, if it's too busy, I won't want to go in. The car park looked fairly busy, but there was, staff park on the car park as well. So massive, it's a big shopping centre just outside Dudley, and it's built on an old steelwork site. So we went in. You couldn't get in via the escalator. Not that I use escalators with the wheelchair, obviously. We had to queue to get in the lift. It was, and we had no trouble parking in the first place. And it was like that we'd never been away in a way, because I think the last time we went was October. Went with Liz as well. My dog's having, can you hear him? My dog's having, what are you doing, Bert? You know, when dogs have a mad half hour, 5 minutes, wag the toys like mad. I'm not going to stop him because it's natural behaviour. And he needs exercise. Anyway, we went there, and yeah, it was really nice. It was actually quite nice. It was quieter than I thought it would be. And we were obviously fully masked up. We used a lot of hand sanitizer. We were careful what we touched. And we didn't go in any shops where there was a queue outside, apart from to buy our lunch from Greg's. And that was very strictly controlled. It's only a little area where they usually have seating at the one side. And there was a lad on saying, you know, step forward. And you were allowed as much time as you wanted to choose your food. And then you pay and you exit and then let the next person in. We had to go outside to eat, although there were a number of people sat on the floor eating. I'm not sure why the security guards didn't move them on. Probably because they don't want a whole load of hassle all day. But we went and sat outside to eat our lunch. And then we went to Marks and Spencer's. We didn't go in the food area because we thought that would be crowded. We looked around Boots and Superdrug. I treated myself to a couple of things because I had gift tokens from my birthday that was back in November. So I bought some Liz Earl Cleanse and Polish in the new tube that they do, which is recyclable, which is going to be more efficient than the pump that they've been doing forever, because you can't recycle it, and you can't, with the tube you can cut the end off and get every last bit out, but you can't do that with the pump. And I also bought their what's it called, environmental shield or something like that. I'll put the link in below, because I found that really nice. It's a new product from them. They traditionally don't, Liz Earl doesn't use chemicals, and they steered away from doing anything with SPF in. So my friend tells me, because of that. And I need an SPF every day. I think I've got the beginnings, or I think I've got something like rosacea on my skin, which is why I put makeup on to talk to you. But, you know, I like wearing makeup anyway. But it's this environmental shield is slightly tinted, and it's an SPF of 30, I think it is, or 25. And it's really nice, quite nice to wear. And I put it on for my friend who loves Liz Earl, who was coming to visit me the following day. She said, oh, you look really nice. She said, you've got makeup on. I said, no, I've just got this tinted moisturiser on. And normally I need a bit more than that to cover all the bumps and bangs on my skin. But no, it seems to work. It seems to work really, really nicely. So I had those for my gift tokens. And I also bought some bamboo pads, washing pads, and a microfiber cloth. So I want to try and stop using as much cotton wool, and I've already used far fewer wipes than I used to. I've got the biodegradable ones from Simple now, because I want to make an effort to be a bit more conscious of what I'm putting into the bin. It's funny, isn't it? My friend said, well, you know, whatever we do, it's not going to have a great impact, but I think if it's easy for me to do, then I will do it. There's some things I can't do because I can't reach or whatever. It's awkward for me, and then I won't do that. I will do what's easier for me, you know, rather than wear myself out. But I can do things like wash my face more often instead of using cleansers with cotton wool, and I will do that. I'm quite enjoying using the microfiber cloth. Actually, it's really nice and soft. And then I'm going to bung it in a little wash bag and put it in the washing machine with the pale stuff I do every couple of weeks. I'm not going to wash it every couple of days. I'm not going to use it for a whole 2 weeks before I wash it. I usually use it for a couple of days. and then I'm going to get in the wash. So I'll probably need a few more microfiber cloths. I've got some old cotton flannels, but they actually feel a bit abrasive after you've used microfiber. Anyway, perhaps I should have warned you I was going to talk about that. But yeah, I went to Merry Hill. I enjoyed it. I was absolutely shattered when I got home. And my friend was going, no, I don't want to go to that shop and that shop that we said we'd go to buy things that are on her list. And I said, go on, I don't mind. And she was like, no, and I think she was really, really tired. She'd not slept well the night before. But we had a nice time. It was nice for us to be together again as well, because I have known Elaine from the first day of school in 1972. I don't think I've talked about school, have I? I went to a boarding school, a state one, before you think I'm posh. A state special boarding school, so I might talk about that if people are interested. Yeah, because it gives you a bit of background behind the people I know and my friends I go out with and stuff, and that I make things for. And then at the weekend on Sunday, me, Tom and Bertie all went to my mum and dad's, because my mum said, if you all come, I will make scones. And they were just cooled, I would say. They were lovely. They were so soft, and we had them with a little bit of butter and homemade damson jam. My mum found a place in Evesham where you can walk through on a public footpath, and it is full of damson trees. So they went back twice to pick a load, and Tom did make some damson jam for us, but we've ate ours. Evesham, I don't know if you know, or Evesham, perhaps I should be pronouncing it, is one of the places in Britain where we grow a lot of fruit, a lot of vegetables. The Vale of Evesham is well known for its asparagus, for instance. I'm not that bad on asparagus personally, but yeah, so it's not unusual to see fruit trees in the hedgerows and things on next to the roads and that, because it's just either the birds have planted them over the years, or they've been originally part of a farm where the road now goes through, and there's lots and lots of orchards there. And probably about this time of year or a bit before now, there is a blossom trail that the AA put up to take you on, so to see all the pretty blossom. Our plum trees are in leaf now, they've had their blossom, but our Bramley apple is just coming into blossom, and it's got its leaves, so they're all slightly different. We planted the Bramley about 4 or 5 years ago, and we've not had anything off it yet. We're rather hoping that this year, because there's about 50 flowers on there, we're rather hoping that we might actually get a Bramley apple. And it's a cooking apple, if you don't know what I'm talking about. The big green, mid-green apples that you get in the shops. Don't always see them. They're quite expensive actually these days, because I think there's a trend to move away from cooking apples and people just use any apple which you can. But Bramleys are quite good for cooking because they're tart, and they hold their shape well as well. Okay. Did I do anything else apart from tidying up? No. I did lots of things in my head. Well, I don't think that counts, does it? So what have you been up to? Let me know in the down bar. I'm going to go now and get a cup of coffee and something to eat for lunch, because I think it's about 2:30. And the skies are clearing. It gets a bit warmer. I might sit outside. I need to find a new book to read, actually. So thank you very much for joining me. If you've got any comments, please comment. Please join in. If you're watching me and you haven't subscribed and you want to, because I never ever say that, if you want to know when I'm next on, please subscribe. The more the merrier, as they say. Thank you for everybody who's joined the Mowls. I will talk about again. I'll talk about them next time, but I will put details of them in the box below. If there's anything I've missed or you want to ask me anything, get in touch. I'm here. I'm finding excuses not to start sewing, so I don't mind answering questions, comments, whatever. You take care, look after yourselves, and I will see you very soon. Ta-ra.